Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight, it was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump discontinues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toad Stool Sports. Maybe I'm going to change the name of this to Toad Stradamus. I don't know yet. Not after today, which I'll talk about how bad today was tomorrow. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it certainly was bad enough. It wasn't good. College football championship action was good for me, though, so 2-0 there. So, yay, I guess, even though I predicted some of the other games wrong. This is the NFL show, though, so we're going to try to continue the hot streak in the NFL. Hopefully we can. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't love this board, man. The more that I broke it down, I'm like, yeah, we'll get into it. Obviously, I'm going to do what I usually do. We have fewer games this week, too. There are a lot of teams on bye this week. This is the last week of byes. So next week onward, we're not going to have any more byes. So it's going to be a little bit of a longer show. But this week we have fewer games to break down. We're already 1-0 this week with the Detroit Lions on Thursday. So Mr. Thursday night continues to come through there. What am I now? 11-2-1, I think, on Thursday nights, and either 3-1 or 4-1 on the actual plays I've gotten on Thursday. So that's good. Mr. Pinsey, what's up, man? Thanks for hanging out. Double down on Indiana. All right. I mean, when they were down 10-6, there was more money line. You have to get more of that live betting action, I guess. I don't like to do that. I just let it go. Like, I just let the main play roll. But, yeah. What's up, Charles? What's going on? You like Toad Stool Sports better? All right. I mean, it is still kind of a dig at Dave Portnoy, so. All right, let's get into it. This board is this is awful, dude. Like, I'm going to have 2 plays, and I'm not sure how much I love them, to be honest. Trying to be selective here. I thought I might wind up with 1 play, which would be even more boring, but we're going to get straight into it, man. I'm going to skip Redskins-Vikings because that is going to be what I think is the best play tomorrow in that game. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to like this. This is going to be ugly, man. But speaking of ugly, I mean, look at these next 2 games in the 1 p.m. slate. Dolphins and Jets. Are you kidding me with this? The Dolphins are down from a 3-point favorite to a 2.5-point favorite, but they have 50% of the tickets and 72% of the cash on them. So the money looks like it's coming in on the Dolphins. But let's think about this for a minute, though. The Dolphins and the Jets already played once, right? They played in Miami on a Monday night game earlier this year, and the Dolphins at home were like 3-point favorites. So how could they possibly be a 3-point favorite on the road this time? Like, the line seems totally out of whack. It doesn't make any sense. Like, and there weren't any injuries in that game, I don't think, right? Were there? I'm trying to remember, and I know the Jets actually outplayed them in the game, and the Jets basically lost this game because of turnovers. Like, I remember enough of this game. Of course, it was Justin Fields, but there's not going to be that much of a drop-off from Fields to Tyrod Taylor. I mean, Tyrod Taylor's been playing the last couple of weeks. Now, Tua played in this game, so, like, what's the deal here? I know ESPN doesn't show the lines anymore, at least for now. Hopefully they bring that back, but I think I have a good memory, my autism here. I'm pretty sure that the Dolphins were 2.5, 3 at home here. Now they're 3 on the road. Like, the line just doesn't make any sense. So to me, it seems like the line value is on the Jets, but the money is coming in on the Dolphins. I mean, I don't think the Dolphins are worthy of laying points on the road basically against anybody, though. So again, line value wise, I would be looking to take the Jets here, but situationally, I don't really love it. I mean, Miami did come off a pretty bad game, really, against the Saints last week. It was actually a little bit better than the final score looked, I guess, because the Saints backdoored that cover. We love the backdoor action there. This game, it was close statistically, though. So, I mean, not really a misleading final. At least I got my lean correct in that game. But yeah, Miami's coming off an ugly game against New Orleans here. Now they're going to play the Jets. I mean, it looks like maybe a spot where they'll play better, whereas the Jets actually pulled off a nice small home upset win, which I was also correct about that game. Got a little bit lucky maybe on that one. The Jets pulled that win out of their ass at the end of the game. Jets definitely got outgained in this game, so I think that's probably what the bettors are seeing and why the money is on Miami, I guess, in the spot where, yeah, I mean, the Jets definitely got destroyed statistically in this game. They somehow won the game anyway. So based on last week's results, Miami being the right way to look makes sense in this game, but I don't think the line makes sense. And we're also talking about Miami going up into cold temperatures, remember. So this is the time of year where you got to look at the weather. It's not going to be that bad, I guess, at 43, so it's not going to be freezing. So that's a little bit better, but Miami and Tua, they notoriously they do not do well in colder weather. Like, I think Tua is like 0-7 in freezing temperatures or something like that, although lucky for him, it's not going to be freezing here, but I just don't know what to do with this game, dude. Like, the money looks like it's coming in on the Dolphins, and final market read is kind of saying the Dolphins. Well, we'll see what happens tomorrow, because I'll talk about the final market read again tomorrow morning. I mean, I kind of lean towards taking the Jets at +3, but I don't love it at all, man. So for now, that'll be my lean, I guess, but that one is one of my weakest opinions. I might change it. Yeah, yeah, the backdoor action, pulling it out of your ass. Titans, Browns, this might be the worst game of all time, dude. Like, you got to be kidding me with this matchup here. Look at the total in this game. 34. It looks like money's coming in on the over here. I think it was as low as 33.5, but to me, I actually think that total is justified. I mean, where are the points going to come from this game? It's Cam Ward against Shedeur Sanders. Like, you have to be kidding me. These offenses are both awful, unbelievably bad. And yes, obviously the Browns have the better defense, and that's why they're favored here, other than the fact that they're at home. But do the Browns really, like, with the Browns with Shedeur Sanders, should they be laying 3.5 against anybody with a total of 34? I kind of don't think so. Like, I would lean towards taking the points with the Titans here. 83% of the tickets, only 67% of the cash. Like, why are the Browns public? Like, you have to be kidding me. I mean, it's because nobody wants the Titans, but seeing the Browns as a public favorite is just unbelievably absurd to me, man. Like, I don't think the Browns should be favored by more than a field goal, really, against anybody. Like, maybe not even the Raiders, to be honest. I don't know. But I would take the points in this one. Like, this is a game where, like, if either team gets to 17, they might win the game. So it's like, I mean, this game, it's going to be real ugly. Like, it shouldn't even be televised. It's going to be real bad. But yeah, I would lean towards taking the points in that one. Steelers-Ravens, kind of an interesting one. The Ravens are down from a 6.5-point favorite to a 5.5-point favorite at home here. There's kind of a lot going on in this game. Both teams are coming off looking pretty bad last week. Steelers basically didn't even score against the Buffalo Bills. The Steelers got wrecked by the Bills last week. I can bring up the schedule like I usually do here. So I predicted that game right. I mean, that was the return from injury for Aaron Rodgers, though. So I do always talk about how the reverse injured player spot comes in, and sometimes the quarterback won't do well. Like, Rodgers definitely did not do well in that game. Steelers were all out of sorts, and sometimes that happens, you know, when the team has their star player coming back. They just don't play well in that first game back. Usually the next game back, they do play better. So the second game off the injured player, the reverse injured player theory, I do expect a better performance out of the Steelers. I mean, this game was ridiculous. Like, the crowd was chanting, like, fire Tomlin. The crowd is getting very, very restless in Pittsburgh here, even though they're 6-6. Usually Pittsburgh and Baltimore are wars. Usually it's close, but the gap is widening over the last couple of years, and where Baltimore is the better team. And Baltimore was able to win by margin once last year, but it was in the playoffs, and now you do know that this is the first time they're playing this year, and it is playoff revenge for Pittsburgh here because they don't play again until the final week of the season. Those are their two matchups here this year, so that is a little bit of a factor. You know, Pittsburgh remembers they got eliminated from the playoffs in this exact stadium last year at Baltimore, so maybe a little bit of extra motivation from the Pittsburgh side here. But for the Baltimore side, they do have extra rest, and they're coming off a terrible performance as well against Cincinnati, and that was a loss for us on the show, the only loss last week with the plays. Lamar Jackson, I'm worried, man. Like, normally I would say, yeah, Baltimore's going to bounce back from that because they have extra time off, and that was a horrendous loss. Like, that was a worse loss than Pittsburgh. Like, Pittsburgh lost as an underdog at home, okay? Baltimore lost as a huge favorite at home. That is, like, more unacceptable, let's say, and they have extra time off, so you got to think Baltimore's working on fixing some things. The issue that I might have with it is Lamar Jackson actually healthy? I don't know, because he was horrible in this game, dude, and I'm wondering if he's injured. I don't know. I mean, I guess if he was really that injured, maybe they wouldn't play him, but this game also, it was not what it looked like on the scoreboard, though. I mean, Baltimore had 5 turnovers, -4 in turnovers. You're not going to win the game when you're -4 in turnovers, so I think there was more room to progress back to some sort of mean here for Baltimore, so I've been going back and forth on this game all week, man. My gut instinct was lay the points with Baltimore in this game with the extra time off, and based on the fact that it's just way uglier what they did last week because it was against a worse team, even though it was with Joe Burrow back. That was the reverse injured player spot with Burrow, man, and it was still just awful for the Ravens there. But I think with extra time off, that game being more embarrassing than losing to Buffalo, I don't know. Even though the public seems to be on the Ravens side, we'll see what the market starts looking like tomorrow, but I'm kind of leaning towards saying lay it with the Ravens in that one for now, but it does concern me. Seahawks, Falcons, I don't think I'm going to change my opinion on this one. I would take the points with Atlanta in this game. 82% of the tickets, only 79% of the cash on the Seahawks. It is the number is down from 7.5 to 6.5 here. Obviously, if you like the Falcons, you want to try to get at least 7 on this. And I think you probably can. Like, maybe I would even wait because, I mean, if you're just going to lose the 6.5 for a 6, that doesn't really matter. So, like, I would wait to see if you can get 7.5 on this if you want Atlanta. And I do agree with Atlanta on this one. Seattle, I don't think they're quite as good as their record looks at this point, and people are going to just look at what they did last week. Oh, they beat Minnesota 26-0. Yeah, they did, but that was because Max Brosmer, I mean, I thought that he couldn't possibly be worse than J.J. McCarthy, and man, was I wrong. Max Brosmer was horrible in that game, and that was pretty much what happened in that game. 26-0 shutout. So it looks like a good win for Seattle, but Sam Darnold was terrible in the game. Darnold has actually been not very good over the last 3 weeks, man, or even 4 weeks, I would say. He's kind of starting to regress, which I kind of expected that a little bit. And Atlanta is a team that can blitz. They do blitz a lot on defense, and that is what Darnold struggles with. So maybe there's more game footage on him now, more footage on him, more film on him. These teams starting to figure out how you can counter him, because last year it was really only Detroit and the Rams that were able to do it. But now this season we've seen the Rams and Minnesota do it, and maybe some more teams are going to do it. But Seattle's also having a lot of travel here, dude. This is going to be their 3rd road game in 4 weeks. It's going to be their 4th road game in the last 6 weeks, and that can kind of take its toll, too. Having to go back to the East Coast again after being out in the Pacific time zone. They were in Tennessee the week prior to that. They were in the Pacific time zone the week before that at the Rams. 2 weeks before that, they were on the East Coast against Washington. So a lot of things, I just don't like the spot here for Seattle, man. And they do have Indianapolis next, and then a quick turnaround to the Rams after that. And both of those games, I think, are a bit bigger than this one. Atlanta's been struggling. I don't think people really take Atlanta with Kirk Cousins seriously, especially losing to the Jets last week, but as I just showed you, Atlanta was better in that game than it looked, man. So Kirk Cousins, at least you could say he's getting a little bit better again. I mean, he was awful the first game that he played this year, which was the one against Miami earlier this year, but he's been a little bit better the last couple of games, which is good because I kind of like Cousins. I kind of want him to have a resurgence, and Atlanta's going to need that if they're going to try to make a push here, and they need these games more because their path to the playoffs is to win the division. But there is a concern about that because, yeah, they got to win the division, but look who they play next, man. They play Tampa Bay, and it's revenge for week 1 as well, where I think Atlanta should have won that game in week 1. I mean, they had the game won pretty much, and Younghoe Koo pretty much fucked them in that game, and he still looks like he's not good. If you saw him completely stop on a field goal attempt and then blame the holder in that game against the Patriots when he just stopped and didn't even attempt the field goal, if you saw that. It's almost like he's Ray Finkel now, for those who get that reference. The Ace Ventura, great movie, by the way. Blaming Dan Marino for the hold. Laces out, Dan. The laces were out, but Younghoe Koo was saying that the ball was slipping out of the holder's grasp. I don't know, man. But Atlanta does have Tampa up on Thursday, though, so I do worry about a little bit of a look ahead here because that Tampa game is going to be huge. It's going to have some divisional implications, so I do worry about the look ahead a little bit for Atlanta here, so I would take Atlanta plus the points, but it's not on my card. Yep. Alrighty then. Yep. Finkel is Einhorn, man. I can't do a very good Ace or Jim Carrey. All right. Colts and Jags. I don't know what to do with this game either, man. At first, I was thinking the Jags were going to kind of be a public side here because the public doesn't want the Colts after what they've done the last couple of weeks, but Jags looking like they have 54% of tickets, 57% of the cash on them, and the Colts have dropped from a 2.5-point favorite to a 1-point favorite here. And this is a pretty big game, man, because the winner of this game will be in sole possession of the lead in that division. And it's starting to look like crazily, the AFC South is going to get multiple teams into the playoffs, which I really didn't think so. My prediction preseason was Jacksonville to win the division, and they might if they win this game, man. And I think they might. When I start thinking about this game more, I kind of lean towards Jacksonville. I mean, Indianapolis, yeah, they're coming off a couple of straight losses, but look at those games, man. I mean, they played two physical teams, man. Kansas City and Houston, losing both games barely by 3 in overtime in Arrowhead. And then last week against Houston, tough divisional battle. Those two teams beat you up physically, man. So I kind of worry about it for Indianapolis here, man. And here's a little thing for you with Indianapolis playing at Jacksonville. I don't have enough people in the chat to really do this because I was going to ask, when do you think the last time Indy won in Jacksonville was? And granted, they've played a couple of times, I think, in London, where Jacksonville has their home game against Indy in London. That's happened a couple of times. But even so, the last time the Colts won in this stadium in Jacksonville was 11 years ago, 2014. Indianapolis has not won in Jacksonville since 2014. So that is not really a trend that I'm willing to jump in front of either here, man. Yeah, you're close. Yeah, 2014, I'm pretty sure is the correct answer. It's ridiculous. It's one of the more ridiculous streaks that's out there. I wouldn't solely base a handicap off of that, but Jacksonville is also coming off easier games, though, man. Jacksonville had an easy win over Tennessee last week. They did have to go to Arizona the week before then, and that wasn't as easy. And I'm pissed that we lost on Arizona by a half point in that one. But Jacksonville last week, they had an easy game against Tennessee, and now the flight back home for this game is not very difficult for them. So that's not too bad, the way it sets up for Jacksonville here. Slight lean to Jacksonville for me here, and I still don't like that Indy has Daniel Jones playing with a broken leg. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. Yeah, you were close for sure. Yeah, Daniel Jones playing with a broken fibula worries me as well, man. We get to the 4 p.m. slate. Oh, no, wait. There's another 1 p.m. game where, I don't know. It looks like something must have gotten flexed here because we have stuff all over the place here. I'll do the 1 p.m. game still. Saints at Buccaneers. Buccaneers are up from a 7.5 to a 9-point favorite. They're public with 90% of the tickets, but it looks like the actual money is also joining the public on that side. We see two games that look like that here this week with the Buccaneers and the Rams. Buccaneers, 95% of the cash on them. I mean, I don't really have a great reason to fade Tampa in this game. Tampa, I mean, they need to hold serve in their division because they're still barely hanging on to this division over Carolina right now, although they do play Carolina twice still. But the Buccaneers, I mean, they were better than they looked last week. They had a bounce back with that win. Baker Mayfield played. He seems to be healthy. If you look at what happened in this game, yeah, the Buccaneers barely won this game, but they were winning this game by a lot more in this game, although they got outgained, so that does worry me. Arizona actually did kind of dominate them statistically with over 100 more yards, 22-13 in first downs. Buccaneers actually did win the time of possession battle. Arizona had 2 turnovers, which kind of did them in. It seems like that's happening to Arizona a lot, man. They're outgaining all these teams and just falling short with turnovers, but I think what you can say is that was a lackluster game for Tampa Bay, and maybe there was something where, Baker Mayfield was out pretty early in the previous game, so maybe he had to kind of get his bearings again. To me, it kind of looks like a bounce-back spot for Tampa, the second game back home. Like, I don't think I would want to take the Saints here, man. Although the Saints have played close in a good amount of their games this year. Like, they are a team that does show up and play pretty competitively, and I think they will for this game because it is a road revenge, second divisional matchup too. So I do a lot of times say that you do want to look that way. Where New Orleans lost to Tampa Bay 23-3 in New Orleans earlier this year. And a lot of times I do say that is an angle when that second divisional matchup happens. If the road team won the first game and now in the second game, that team that lost that first game at home is a divisional road underdog. They are a pretty decent way to look in that game. So I struggle with this game too, man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of flipping myself around here. Like, I want to see what the market read looks like tomorrow leading up to the game before I kind of actually give out a lean on this one. Because initially I was kind of thinking, Tampa Bay is probably going to be the lean in this one, but I'm not so sure, man. I mean, maybe feisty Saints team coming in because they do. When you're a team like the Saints and you don't have anything left to play for in the season, one of the games you will get up for is a game like this where you have the potential to maybe spoil a divisional rival season. So maybe you'll get a good effort out of New Orleans here. So I don't know. Maybe I'll flip it around and say maybe you do want to take the points in that one. And then the other 1 p.m. game that looks like it got flexed out of a 4 p.m. game is Bengals-Bills. But it seems like it should be one of those later games where they put some of those later games as the better games because this is some primetime stuff here now, man, with Joe Burrow against Josh Allen, even though the Bengals are barely holding on to very, very slim hopes of doing anything. Of course, if the Bengals are going to get into the playoffs, they're going to have to win their division. I mean, they're not going to get a wild card. I do lean to the Bills in this game. The Bills are a 6-point favorite, 53% of the cash on them, 52% of tickets coming in on the Bengals. Of course, people are going to comment on how it seems like Joe Burrow always gives the Bills fits, though. Like, Joe Burrow seems to go into Buffalo and win. Like, every time he's there as an underdog of around this magnitude. That is true. He does do well in Buffalo. I don't disagree with that. Now, this is his second game back, and I do realize Cincinnati does have extra time off here because they played on Thursday on Thanksgiving night, but that was a huge divisional primetime win over the Ravens, man. And again, it was really pretty misleading, right? Because I showed you that. I mean, Baltimore had 5 turnovers in the game. So it wasn't really that much that Cincinnati did. It was more that Baltimore just threw the game away, which I'm still pissed about. So that game wasn't really what it looked like on the scoreboard. Now Cincinnati is facing a third road game in 4 weeks, which is pretty difficult. And by the way, I did say that their path to make the playoffs is to win their division. Well, guess who they play next week? Yeah, they play the Ravens again next week, so they're in a dreaded Ravens sandwich here, which I don't know what the Ravens sandwich is, but the Baltimore sandwich, but it's a rare scenario here. And I'm not saying Cincinnati's going to overlook Buffalo. I mean, they shouldn't, but the Ravens games mean more, man, and that was just a crazy upset win, so I think it still really could be a little bit of a letdown spot. And for Buffalo, I mean, I don't know if Buffalo could still, I think Buffalo could technically still win their division, but if they're going to do that, they do need to beat New England on the road, and that's next week. So Buffalo, I guess you could argue, does have a look ahead to next week because that is a big game against New England. So I struggle with this game. I think both teams are in bad spots. I mean, I told you, man, I don't like this board here. Like, I'm going to lean to Buffalo, and it looks like the market is agreeing with that just because I don't think the Bengals are as good as what they looked like last week, even though I know second game with your star quarterback back, you are generally going to play better. But I don't know, man. I mean, to me, it seems like it's a Buffalo spot to me. And Buffalo had a much easier game last week, even though, yeah, Buffalo. I mean, it was like a decent win for them on the road, whatever. Like, they looked all right, but like, I mean, that game was over pretty early on, I would say. So Buffalo, I mean, they really didn't have to do much. Buffalo was literally just running like counter right with James Cook over and over again. And for some reason, the Steelers couldn't stop it. Like, Mike Tomlin, he doesn't make adjustments, dude. He did not make adjustments on that rushing play that Buffalo was running all game and with success all game last week. And which, by the way, Baltimore might realize that this week and just do the same thing with Derrick Henry. Because, I mean, they obviously have the ability to, although Baltimore seems to be stupid with how they use their rushing attack. They don't use it effectively, so I don't know. But for Buffalo, it was an easy game because they just ran the football a lot. So I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. I don't think people are going to put that much weight into Buffalo beating Pittsburgh like that. Public seems to be just off the Pittsburgh train. They don't like Rodgers and whatever, so I don't know. Tough game for me to read. Slightly into Buffalo for now, but lobster, like top lobster. That's like a buffalo sandwich. I don't know. A lobster sandwich, wouldn't that just be a lobster roll? That's what we have up here in New England. I don't think you really can classify that as a sandwich, though. But we do the lobster roll. It's in like a hot dog roll, basically, or a brioche roll. You know what I'm talking about. The New England style is to do the cold one with the mayo. Don't want to overdo the mayo, though. All right, let's go to the 4 p.m. games here. Raven and lobster. Yeah, that's interesting. It is Nephilim Death Squad, man. All right, 4 p.m. slate, Bears, Packers. This is a big game, man. But the Packers are a 6.5-point favorite, and you know the public, they love these, shiny toys. The public does not love Green Bay because their offense is kind of crappy, to be honest. But Green Bay is really good defensively, and Chicago, I honestly don't think they're good on either side of the ball. I keep saying it. I know I keep being wrong about Chicago and predicting that Chicago is going to lose these games, but the wheels are going to come off, dude. The Chicago team, they are complete frauds. They might be the most fraudulent team in NFL history, dude. Like, they just because of their last win, they barely have a positive point differential just because they won last week. They're like +6 now in point differential on the entire season, and they're still negative yards per play differential. This is going to be their third road game in 4 weeks. And they're coming off like basically their legitimizer game, and everybody saw it on Black Friday. They went into Philadelphia and beat the Super Bowl champs, man. I know Chicago wants to go into Green Bay and do it too, but Green Bay, I mean, they're a half game behind Chicago because they had that stupid tie against Dallas earlier. So I think Green Bay is going to have something to prove here, man. And Green Bay is the better team. It's a more difficult spot for Chicago because they're going to have to put in this effort multiple games in a row like this. And for Philadelphia, they really have been kind of unimpressive this year coming off that Super Bowl win. They don't have the same defense as last year. Philly has not really been great offensively this year. I mean, they've been winning a lot of games by close margins. Green Bay might be better than Philadelphia, man. And Green Bay is laying basically the same, maybe even a little bit less here. Like, the public's going to look at this and say, how is Chicago as the slightly better team, and they haven't lost since weeks and weeks ago? How are they getting like almost a touchdown here? Like, it looks so easy to take the Bears here, but that is not what I would do. I mean, I think there is even letdown potential here, although, yeah, you could argue the same thing for Green Bay because people did also see Green Bay on Thursday beat Detroit on Thanksgiving. That was a big win, no doubt about it. Green Bay got the season sweep of Detroit, but they do have an extra day off at least because that was in the afternoon on Thursday, where Chicago played later afternoon on Friday. So there is one extra day of rest for Green Bay here, but both teams are going to show up, and if that's the case, the better team is what makes sense here. I would lay it with the Packers. If you want to do it, I would try to get it at below 7. 53% of the tickets on the Bears, 62% of the cash on the Packers. I agree. Again, the Bears can't continue doing this, man. They're like a slightly below average offense, and they're like a bottom 10 defense. So they just can't continue to do this, man. Packers should be able to score against that defense. All right. Also in the 4 p.m. slate, I'm not going in total chronological order here because some of this one game is 20 minutes earlier than these other two, but Broncos at Raiders. The Broncos are laying 8 points on the road here. 89% of tickets and cash on the Broncos. I know the Broncos didn't look good on Sunday night, and that was a win for us with Washington plus the points. But the Broncos are just public anyway, because the public is going to want nothing to do with the Raiders, man. But the Raiders did go into Mile High, and they put up a fight, man. The Broncos only beat them 10-7 back on that Thursday night game a few weeks ago. So the Raiders, I think one of the situations where a dead team like the Raiders, one of the situations where they will show up is to play a divisional game like this. So I do think you will get a decent effort out of the Raiders in this one game here, like you did the last time, although obviously Denver might remember that game and fix some things because they weren't good in that game. But then on the other hand, I mean, they're on a short week. They are having to travel cross country here. Like, they were in Denver. They were in Denver before the bye, actually. So they did have a bye in between the two. But they were out on the East Coast last week, late Sunday, and now they have to go back to they have to go all the way to the Pacific time zone. They do have Green Bay next, which maybe they'll be looking ahead to that a little bit because that is a bigger game. So I don't know, man. And the other thing about Denver is they just don't win by margin. Like, this 8-point spread, they've won by that margin, twice all season. It was in week 1 at home against Tennessee where they won by exactly 8. And then against Jake Browning's Cincinnati Bengals, they won on a Monday night game, 28-3. Since then, all the rest of their wins have been by 4 or fewer points every single time. Or no, sorry, they beat Dallas. My mistake. They crushed Dallas in the middle there. But all the rest of their wins besides those have been by 4 or fewer. So Denver, I mean, again, they're just not really built to win by margin. Like I said last week, I wouldn't want to lay points like this on the road. They're mostly a defensive team. Vegas, I would think, should get up for this. I mean, everybody's just making fun of them. They had another ugly loss last week in LA. They're just staying in the Pacific time zone here. This is going to be the 4th straight week, I think, that they're in the Pacific time zone. So the travel spot is not bad at all for Vegas here. I would probably lean towards taking the points with Vegas. I don't love it, though. All right. What games do I have left here? Rams, Cardinals. This is another one where my first thought on this game was to lay the points with the Rams. Public is all over the Rams because the public doesn't like the Cardinals. 90% of the tickets, 95% of the cash on the Rams. They're up from a 9.5 to a 10-point favorite here. Now, I have some problems figuring this game out too, man. The Rams, to me, I think they should be in a bounce back spot because they went out to the East Coast last week and they had an ugly loss to Carolina. They didn't play well. It was a bad game for them. Looking at the stats, I mean, it was a little bit misleading, though. The Rams were -3 in turnovers, man. They won the yardage battle in the game, so it was kind of a misleading result. Like, the Rams, when you're -3 in turnovers, you shouldn't only lose by 3. So the Rams did play better than what it looked like in that game. So to me, it does seem like a bounce back spot, even though they are having to travel back from the East Coast to whatever time zone Arizona is in, Mountain Time Zone or whatever. And yes, they do have Detroit up next and then Seattle on a Thursday. So you could argue they might be looking ahead to those games. I don't know that they're going to overlook a divisional game, man, even though it is Arizona, and Arizona is way behind everybody else. For Arizona, I mean, they are also traveling back from the Eastern time zone, though, because they were just in Tampa Bay, and they played pretty well. Although, granted, Arizona was actually better than they looked. Both of these teams were better than the final score indicated last week. Arizona also turned the ball over, as I showed you. They outgained Tampa, but that was a pretty big performance from Arizona, man, against Tampa. Out on the East Coast, they were an underdog. They played pretty well. Now they're coming back from that, coming back home. I mean, based on just what these teams did last week, I kind of lean towards the Rams, but I don't think I want to lay like 10 on the road in a divisional game with the Rams, man. And Arizona, what you could say about them is they've been pretty feisty, let's say. I mean, they've almost all their losses have come by single digits. Their losses are by 1 at the 49ers, 3 at home against Seattle, 1 at home against Tennessee, 4 on the road in Indianapolis, 4 at home against Green Bay. Then they did get blown out at Seattle, but the yardage battle was actually close in that game. And then they got blown out by San Francisco, but they actually outgained San Francisco significantly in that game. Then their last 2 losses were by 3 in overtime against Jacksonville at home, and then 3 on the road at Tampa Bay. So they played a lot of close games. So Arizona is probably at least better than their record looks. So again, yeah, I struggle with it, but I don't know. Maybe overall slight lean towards taking the points there, but I don't love it at all. And I think that does it. So that'll bring us to the best bets, except for, well, the Monday night game I don't have a best bet on. I guess we could just briefly talk about Monday night now. Eagles and Chargers. Eagles are up from a 2-point favorite to a 2.5-point favorite, and this line seems a little bit weird to me, man. I think it's because Justin Herbert is questionable for the Chargers, so you have to try to gauge, like, what are they going to do with him? Like, is Herbert actually playing or is he not playing? Like, this line almost seems to indicate that maybe he's not playing. Because would the Eagles really be this much of a road favorite if Herbert was playing? I don't know, man. But if he winds up playing, you're going to see this line come back towards the Chargers, man. The Eagles are public, 68% of tickets, only 54% of the cash. I wouldn't really want to lay a price with the Eagles on the road in a primetime game where the Eagles have to go to the West Coast. You know I talk about this. These East Coast teams going to the West Coast, it's bad for their biological clock in a late-night game like this because it's just late for them. So it's not great. Yeah, short show. I like these better, man. It's been too long anyway. So I like fading these teams when they go out to the West Coast for these late-night games. Although Philly did do it once last year against the Rams, and they beat them anyway pretty handily. And I think I might have had a loss on that game too. So Philly has shown the ability to do that, though. And Philly is coming off a couple of pretty ugly losses. You know what I mean? They blew a 21-0 lead against Dallas. And then last week they lost to the Bears, which the Eagles, everybody saw that on Black Friday, and the Eagles were a favorite there. So in some ways it looks like a bounce back for the Eagles. Whereas the Chargers, I mean, they just had a whatever win last week against Vegas. I mean, it was good as a bounce back win. They're coming out of a bye, so the Chargers will be more rested here, and they're staying at home. So the rest and travel spot definitely does benefit the Chargers here. We got to know if Herbert's going to play or not, though. I mean, I struggle with this game a lot. Yeah, I don't even know what I would do with it. And because the Eagles played on Friday, they do have extra time off, though, as well. Extra day and a half off. So I don't know, man. I don't know what I want to do with this game at the moment. I mean, the market is saying to take the points with the Chargers. Now, if Justin Herbert is out, then you get an injured player spot coming into play with the Chargers. I don't even know who their backup quarterback is right now, but you'll probably get more points. Like, it might go up above a field goal if it's announced that Herbert is not playing, and then probably the lean has to be with the Chargers if that's the case. If he is playing, it gets a little bit more iffy, man. According to the market, I mean, I guess still you'd want to lean that way, but I don't really love it, man. Let's go to the best bets here. You already know what one of them is. One of them, I mean, this is as ugly as it gets, but you know that this is what I do. We're going to take the Minnesota Vikings plus the 1.5 here, getting them as a little home underdog here. The public, they're all in Washington all of a sudden because the Vikings looked so bad last week. By the way, you can see the look ahead here. Prior to last week's games, the Vikings were going to be a 2.5-point favorite in this game, and now they're a 1.5-point underdog basically just because of last week. And, well, maybe that's not entirely the case. Well, I'll talk about it in a minute because some of it does have to do with the quarterback situation. So I'll mention that in a minute, but it's not based entirely off of last week's results. But 62% of tickets, 54% of the cash on Washington. So they're public. they're more so fading the Vikings than they are playing the Washington side, the Redskins. Although, let's look at the Redskins here for a minute, man. We got the win on them last week, right? So they covered. They took Denver into overtime. Of course, whenever you play Denver, it's a tough physical game, man. And teams that come off of playing Denver, they don't typically do very well. This season, I think the majority of teams after playing Denver have lost the next game. I don't know what the record is now. It was really bad earlier in the season. But now Washington's coming off of that. They did have a bye prior to that, but now they're coming off that game. They got to go on the road. They do have a divisional game up next against the Giants, so maybe a game that maybe they'll focus on, although probably means more to the Giants because Washington did beat the Giants already. But still, I mean, I just don't know if Washington's going to be focused on Minnesota. I mean, as we say, a team that's dead, like they're not going anywhere this year like Washington, the games that they're going to get up for are primetime games like they were just up for on Sunday at home, and maybe divisional games, maybe where they could spoil seasons for opponents. So maybe Philadelphia, Dallas, those remaining games. Not a game against Minnesota, man. I just don't see where the motivation comes from here for Washington. And again, they just played a tough game and almost had the win in primetime against Denver. That would have been a huge win. And they fell just short. Now they got to go to this Minnesota team. And Minnesota looked as ugly as it gets last week, man. Minnesota shut out on the road at Seattle. Now they're coming back home. Yeah, I know they played 2 games on the road, but back at home, only home game in a 5-week stretch. Minnesota hanging on for dear life here. I think they're going to show up for this game, man. I think you're going to get a better effort here. Again, teams also don't want to get embarrassed. When teams get shut out like this in the NFL, usually you're going to get value on them in the next game. They're going to play better. And, of course, we know that was Brosmer at quarterback there, and that was basically the reason they lost this game was Brosmer turning the ball over. Maybe one of the worst pick sixes you'll ever see in this game. Look at the yardage in this game. Like, Seattle only won the yardage battle 219 to 162. The game was just awful on both sides. Minnesota got penalized a ton. Minnesota lost the turnover battle 5-2, -3 in turnovers. You know they're going to use this. They're going to use this week to clean that up, man. And I'm going to go against what I said last week. Brosmer is worse than McCarthy, but guess what we're getting? We're getting J.J. McCarthy back for this game. And I know normally I'm going to say, well, that means it's a reverse injured player spot, right, where the team is going to ease up because their quarterback comes back. Are you really going to ease up when you just lost 26-0? I don't think so, man. I think Minnesota is going to show up. And McCarthy, I mean, I think he's going to try to redeem himself for some really bad performances. I know he's not good, but he's facing a weak Washington defense here, too, so I think he might be able to do something against this defense, even though I know he hasn't looked good against, Chicago, for example. But you got to think Minnesota's at least going to show up here. And for Washington, let's throw another angle at you here. Washington is actually in the reverse injured player spot in this game because Jaden Daniels is coming back. And Daniels has been out since, I don't even know when, since this Seattle game, right? When Daniels wrecked his arm in that game against Seattle. It almost looked RG3-esque, except the arm instead of the leg. So Daniels has missed 3 games. And Washington actually played fairly well in their last 2 games. And now he's coming back. Again, when a player has a long absence, which, by the way, McCarthy's absence was only 1 game. So, it's going to be a lot easier for McCarthy to show back up after 1 game. That Daniels coming off a long layoff like this. This is the worst, reverse injured player spot, man, when your star quarterback has been out for a long time. We don't even know what he's going to be like with his left arm. I mean, it's his non-throwing arm, but it's not non-throwing arm. We'll see how healthy it really is. The team, they might ease up a little bit knowing that their quarterback is back. He has to get back into rhythm and whatever, so that's going to throw a wrench into it, and that's also part of the reason why the line has moved towards Washington. I just don't really think they should be a favorite on the road here, man. Is Washington really so much better than the Vikings right now that they should be laying points on the road? I don't really see it, so we're going to grab the Vikings for all those reasons, man. The bounce back spot, a letdown spot for Washington, I think, and the worst reverse injured player spot is the side that Washington is in. So yeah, the Washington Indians, yeah. The Vikings, yeah, they're gonna have to be the Somalian Pirates. All right, and then the final game, I'm just gonna do it, man. On Sunday night, we're gonna lay the points with the Kansas City Chiefs -3.5. this has just gotten too far, man. The Chiefs, we're getting line value on the Chiefs here, and I know they're looking like they're headed towards 4. It's not much of a difference here. Oops, I know the timer has gone off there, but Chiefs minus the points here. I could turn it back on, I guess, or turn the timer off. I mean, turn the banner back on. I hate how StreamYard does this now. I think I did have it off for the other one. I just didn't have it off for this one. All right, Kansas City. 3.5, 4. I mean, hopefully not too much of a difference between those two. But as you can see, the look ahead in this game was going to be 5.5 for the Chiefs. And now basically just based off of what these teams did last week, we're getting 3.5. So we're getting line value on the Chiefs, man. A team that's pretty good like the Chiefs getting line value like this. And pretty much their season is kind of on the line here, man. I know I don't like to take teams in like must-win scenarios really when they're laying a favorite price like this. But it's a short price, and I think you're going to see the Chiefs show up here, man. And the public doesn't really want them based on what they've seen recently. 51% of tickets on the Texans, 60% of the cash on the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are still the better team, man, and they're basically getting a little bit more than home field here at most. I think they should be a heavier favorite than this. Last year in the playoffs, these two teams faced off, and they were pretty similar teams last year, right? Texans, Chiefs, and the Chiefs were, what were they, like a 9-point favorite, I think, in that game. So I think you were definitely getting live value here. I'm not saying they should be a 9-point favorite this year. They're not really as good this year, I don't think, but the personnel is pretty similar. And again, yeah, I think the 5.5 would be about fair in this one. Yes, I know, speaking of the playoffs, it is playoff revenge for the Texans, technically. The Chiefs knocked them out of the playoffs. I think maybe 2 years in a row the Chiefs knocked them out of the playoffs, but this game, it just matters more to the Chiefs, man. I mean, for the Texans, both these teams are fighting for wild card positioning potentially, but the Texans, they can get into the playoffs by winning their division as well. The Chiefs do not have that option. So the Chiefs, I think they're going to have more motivation here because the Chiefs need to beat some of these wild card potential opponents here. The Chiefs already lost to Buffalo, so that's not going to help them. So that's a bad situation for the Chiefs that they don't have the tiebreaker against Buffalo now because they lost that. I think the Chiefs did lose the tiebreaker to another one of these teams too. I forget which team, but they got to get it done, man. They cannot lose the tiebreaker to the Texans as well. Texans, again, they could still win their division too. They have divisional matchups remaining as well against, well, I don't think they could play Jacksonville again though, but they could still just overtake teams in their division. The Chiefs, again, they can't catch Denver, so the Chiefs need to beat these wild card teams. And if the Chiefs lose this game and fall below 500, they're pretty much not going to make the playoffs here. So I know sometimes I say you shouldn't do it because there's pressure on that team, but again, at what I think is a very, very cheap price, we're going to do it. Chiefs also have extra rest, and they didn't look good. People saw them on Thursday, and they lost to Dallas. So I thought they would win that game, but they were coming off a decent win over Indy, so the Chiefs do have a tiebreaker against Indy, were Indy to fall into the wild card race. So that's at least good for the Chiefs. But the Chiefs, I think a road out-of-conference game just didn't matter as much to the Chiefs, man, and they fell short against Dallas. But now everybody saw the Chiefs lose. The Chiefs haven't looked good. They've lost 3 out of 4. And, yeah, and now they do have extra time off, though. So, again, they have more rest here, which I think is good. And for the Chiefs, what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah, I mean, looking at their recent losses, I mean, their losses were to Buffalo, Denver, and then Dallas was the ugliest one of the 3. I mean, you can't really blame them for losing those games, and they're all on the road, too. So it's not like the Chiefs are a bad team, and they face a very difficult schedule. I mean, look at their schedule this year. They played the Chargers, the Ravens, which Lamar Jackson got hurt in the middle of that game, the Eagles, the Lions. They played some difficult teams, man. So the Chiefs, they're undervalued here. They're not as bad as their record looks. They're also 5-1 at home. You're getting the Chiefs at home where they do play a lot better. They win at home, man. They did lose back at home against Philadelphia, but since then, I mean, what have they done? They won and covered at home against Baltimore, won and covered at home against Detroit, won and covered at home against the Raiders, won and covered at home against Washington. So that's what, 4 straight wins and covers and five straight wins at home, and they just missed the cover against Indy. So they're much, much better at home. For Houston, Houston doesn't have the additional rest, and they're coming off multiple huge wins, man. They beat Buffalo, which was huge for wild card implications, but huge win nonetheless at home in primetime on a Thursday. We got the win on that on the show. And then Houston, they really needed the game against Indy to get back into the divisional race, and they were able to do it, even though it was Stroud's return last week. That was a huge win for Houston, too. So now they're coming off playing on Sunday, so they have a shorter week here than Kansas City does, and winning a huge divisional matchup on the road, man. So I think that makes this a bit of a bad spot, maybe even a letdown spot for Houston here. And it's a third road game in 4 weeks for Houston, which is also not great. Playing all these road games could start to take its toll a little bit. And we're also looking at the fact that this is an Arrowhead at night, so the weather may become a factor here, man. This is a freezing temperature game, 26 degrees, and C.J. Stroud doesn't play in environments like this very often. And I know people say, oh, but he played at Ohio State. Yeah, but college, they don't play like this deep into the season. I know college is still going on right now, but still, they don't really play cold weather games in college like this. Stroud, by the way, in cold weather games, he's done it twice. I checked it out, actually. We can actually look at Houston the last couple of years here. By the way, yes, I do know Stroud, his second game back. Yes, usually teams do play better in the game with their quarterback back for the second game back. But Davis Mills was filling in really well for Stroud, man. So I don't even know how much of an upgrade Stroud really is at this point. But if you look at in the past, as I mentioned, they did lose on the road to Kansas City in January in cold temperatures. They did lose in December, late December at Kansas City by a similar margin also last year. So it just seems like they don't do well in Arrowhead, man. Houston, like I just think Kansas City kind of has their number to some extent. And then the year before that, I went back and I looked at Stroud's road December games outdoors, and there was only one other one, and it was earlier in December 2 years ago in his rookie season, which was his best season. They got destroyed by the New York Jets, 30-6 on the road by the Jets, yes. And Stroud only had 91 passing yards in that game. So really, really ugly stuff, man. When Stroud, in December and onward, when Stroud has to go and play in cold weather environments on the road, I believe he is 0-3, 0-4. What did I determine there? Something like that. Including playoffs, yeah. So actually, one of the games was the other one was on the in Baltimore, January 20th, Baltimore in the playoffs the year before that. So yeah, cold weather games for Stroud. So basically, from December onward, outdoors, he's 0-4 in these games in his NFL career, and his team did not cover any of them, and they lost by like a decent margin in all of them. So I don't like it, man. I don't like Stroud going outdoors. We're going to do it. We're going to lay the points with the Chiefs. And I think that's it. That's the breakdown for that. That's going to do it. Taylor Swift or Bad Bunny? Taylor Swift. I would rather have Taylor Swift. Yeah, I mean, she's at least more... she's at least American, man. So that, yeah, I would go Taylor Swift for sure, even though her music is garbage. It's at least, I mean, her music is less demonic, at least, really. Although it's mostly just about, like, I don't know, exes and whatever, as far as I know. I don't know. I don't really listen to them. But Bad Bunny, it's going to be some real, like, demonic stuff, man. Yeah, yeah, that too. All right, that's going to do it, man. My plays for tomorrow for the NFL are Minnesota plus the points and Kansas City minus the points. Let's get it. I'll be back in the morning. We got some, there's a little bit of college basketball tomorrow and probably a little bit of NBA and NHL. And tomorrow night, I believe I'll be back. I don't know what I'm going to do, man, because I was thinking, like, should I do, like, a bowl special? But I don't even know if I should do that because, like, it almost doesn't even make sense to start talking about the bowls right away because, like, so much news comes out later. So I always talk about the bowls on the day that they're played. But it almost makes sense to just do it that way, even though I know the lines move a ton sometimes, like from like the outset, and you miss like line value. But sometimes it's because the information is just not out there yet, and then later it's like, oh, this team is just not even going to show up for this bowl now. You know what I mean? So I will do a playoff, college football playoff bracket special, though. I will definitely do that either tomorrow night or like Monday. So I'll come back and do that. But Yeah, so we'll have that, yeah. Bowl preview, I just can't do it, man. They're going to be, again, it's going to be like 40 bowls, and like, again, you don't even know who's going to be playing in half of them until like closer to when the game goes. So I just don't think it's like feasible. And it would be like a 3-hour show for almost no reason. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Learn to Toad on Twitter, Learn to Toad on Instagram, like, subscribe to the show here, give me good comments, etc. Audio, listen and give me a good review on Apple and Spotify. That all helps me out. Yeah, and what else? Covered in Uke, my Uke channel on YouTube, and then patreon.com/LearnToToad. Charles, I went to look at your messages on there, and like I couldn't see any messages. Like there was something going on with Patreon. I swear, like because you can see I uploaded some new songs up there, but I couldn't see any of the messages. So there's something going on there. I'm like, what is going on? I'll check again. I mean, it was probably just a glitch or something, but I'll check again. Patreon.com/LearnToToad, and you can request Uke stuff, and there's a Uke Spotify feed as well there. And check out the new podcasts, The Loser Cast, which I'm on with Leighton of Outlawed Thoughts. The first episode is on his channel there. Also, it'll be on the Loser Cast channel starting this Tuesday, I believe. And we got Tyler Yankee, the Tower Gang producer, is on it too. And then Broseph Smith, and then I forget the other guy's name. I apologize to my co-hosts who I'd never met before Tuesday. So we got those, and hopefully no longer any women will be allowed on the show. Leighton. So we got to clean that up. But I had fun. And then tomorrow, the first episode of my Giants podcast with Ben, the emo ANCAP, who is a big Giants fan, and I am a Dart fan. And I'm at least a fan of when the Giants beat the Patriots when I hated the Patriots, although I now don't really hate the Patriots in their current regime because it's being anti-Belichick to be pro-Patriots right now. I'm patriotic again, man. But yes, it's called the G Spot, which was my idea to call it that, the spot for all the Giants things, and where the homies hang out, the G Spot for the G-Men. So we'll see how that episode goes. It's a bye week for the Giants. So, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, there are 4 teams on bye this week, and they're New England, Carolina, the Giants, and I don't even remember who the other team is on bye this week, but nobody had a bye last week. San Francisco is the other team on bye. And this is the last week of byes, so, and not the last week of gays. But yes, be on the lookout for the G Spot, man. That'll be the Giant podcast with me and Ben, and we'll see what happens. And Adam Nutter will be jealous of us. Maybe we'll start letting him on. I don't know. Straight G's, yeah. Dave, what's up, man? You caught me just in time because I'm wrapping up the show here. Yeah, I mean, you can go back and see my more full-fledged analysis on it, but I like the Packers. I would lay the points of the... You know, dude, I hate the Bears. Like, I don't hate the Bears as a team, like, okay? Like, everybody thinks that that's the case, but no, like, I just think that they're the most overrated NFL team that I've ever seen. I don't think Caleb Williams is any good. I think the wheels are just going to come off of this team at some point, man. And just, again, now they're coming off, like, their biggest win, like a win where they actually got a legit win against a legit team, the Eagles. I just don't see them repeating that again. I like the Packers in that game. If you can lay less than a touchdown on it, I like it. And, yeah, that's going to do it. And for Dave, once again, Vikings plus the points and Kansas City minus the points are my actual plays here that I'm giving out on the show. Vikings are also a good teaser piece. Because they're at plus 1.5, so you can tease them up to 7.5. I don't hate that idea either, but the problem is you got to find a team to tease them with, and like, who do you tease them with? The Buccaneers basically got teaser killed up to 9, so you can't really tease them anymore. You could tease the Jaguars. That might not be a bad idea, teasing the Jags up to 7.5, because on a 2-team 6-point teaser, because like I said, the Colts have not won in Jacksonville for 11 years, so maybe that's a way to look in that one as well. Maybe that would be the teaser. I don't really do teasers, but the last one I recommended was a winner, so I think if I was going to do any sort of teaser here, maybe that would be it. I mean, I suppose if you're looking at the Jets plus 2.5, you could tease them up to plus 8.5 as well. I mean, 8.5 Dolphins on the road just seems just like there's no way that they would be able to cover that. So maybe that would be an idea as well. You could also tease the Broncos down just to win the game. I mean, they're probably not going to lose that game. So there is that as well. So some ideas there. But I like Minnesota to just win the game anyway. So that's going to do it. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks again for hanging out, everybody. And I'll be back in the morning. Peace.